If you're in trouble, if you're down 2 milli like I was a couple of weeks ago, just close your eyes super tight and say to yourself 3 times, stocks only go up, stocks only go up, stocks only go up, and you'll be okay.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to be discussing Palantir, Switchback Energy, NEO, and a couple other stocks that have hyped up like crazy, give my overall thoughts on them, and if I would be buying at these prices, and how I'm going to play them going forward. But before we get into it, if you don't mind just dropping a like and hitting subscribe, it really helps out the channel, and feel free to check out the links in the description to the free Discord server, my merch if you want to support the channel, and my referral link to Webull, where when you deposit $100, you can get 4 free stocks right now. Now let's get into it. So first off, I wanted to address some things, and this is just my personal opinion and my, thoughts on when companies hype up. So if you're buying into these companies at these prices, I would personally need to see a very long-term outlook on the company, and just understand when you buy at these hyped up all-time high prices, you're adding risk and possibly overextending yourself. Now, obviously, if you bought into NEO today at its all-time highs, in 1 to 5 years, these prices will look attractive, but that's the outlook you have to have. If you're a short-term, you think in the short term and you see NEO drop, a lot of people panic sell. A lot of the newer investors have a problem with this and they can't see past, a month or two. So that's all I'm trying to say here. I know there are a lot of people having FOMO and chasing these Spax and these EV companies. So it's just something to understand. Now, that's not to say you can't make money and trade these given the perfect setup. I just don't want anyone getting stuck holding the bag when EV decides to reverse all of a sudden and everything comes crashing down, which I do think we will have a substantial pullback in the EV sector. It just feels like it's been going straight up for too long. And if you know anything about the stock market, nothing goes straight up forever. So not to say you can't get into these or trade these. It's just something to keep in the back of your head and be a bit cautious of. Now, I do want to especially talk about Spax, but we'll save that for the end, and we'll get into Palantir real quick. So getting into Palantir, pretty good day for them, up about 17% on the week, up over 30%, and on the month, 118% gain. So pretty much ever since they crossed that $13 mark, it's just been smooth sailing on the uptrend. Couple of pullbacks here and there, but nothing substantial like people may have thought it would do. Even I thought we were going to see a nice sell-off. I would consider buying even at these prices. I do see a bright future for this company, but then again, I am long on this. I'm a long-term investor on this, so if it pulls back, I will just add some shares. It's no big deal. I bought in the low teens, but even if it pulled back to 17 or 18, I would consider buying. I think this is going to be a great company, great play. I know some people have issues with the company's morals. I'm more looking at it as making money. But I totally respect, people who don't want to buy into this. But I do think that there is more money to be made here, even though it did get a downgrade from Morgan Stanley's analyst Keith Weiss. He lowered his rating on the stock to equal weight from overweight, but his price target is still 15, which was raised from 13. But we do have other hedge fund managers buying into this. We have Dan Loeb's Third Point Management and Steve Cohen's Point 72 Asset Management. They disclosed holding positions of Palantir. Third Point disclosed that it held 2.4 million shares, and Point 72 said they acquired almost 30 million shares during the third quarter. We also know that ARK Invest has been buying shares, and we have a couple other companies here. Last week, George Soros disclosed it owned about 18.46 million shares, but the firm said in the statement that the holding came from an investment made in 2012 and they planned to sell when legally allowed. That really didn't touch the stock at all. I think it may have dropped the stock a couple of dollars, but yeah, it's still way up since then, so it was hardly even phased. I think this one's pretty stable. I did want to talk about the lockup agreement though. So getting into Palantir's lockup period, and something I found that was interesting was they're the first company to do a direct listing with a lockup period. I'm used to lockup periods with SPACs, but I didn't know they had one until recently. So I'm sure there's a couple of you out there that didn't know this either. But it's supposed to be 180 days from the day they IPO, which would put us in February or March, which a lot of people are speculating because it's not set in stone yet. We don't have a for sure date on when this period ends. Employees and pre-IPO shareholders will be allowed to sell and take their profits. So basically right now, I believe they can only sell up to 20% of their stock until the lockup period ends. This is to prevent people from dumping their stock and taking the profits and manipulating the price on the stock. So we could see people dump the rest of the 80% of their stock, but I doubt it. And for people who are long on this, you could look at that as a sale day and buy more. Long term, I don't think this is going to be anything to worry about. But if you're playing call options on this, it's definitely something to be aware of. So to wrap up Palantir, no groundbreaking news. I just want to talk about them because they did have a nice run up today. I still think it's attractive. Yes, it has ran up quite a bit, but I will be buying on any pullbacks. If we got a pullback to like the high 17s or 18s, I think that's pretty attractive, and I'll be adding shares for the long term. Next up, we have Chargepoint, Switchback Energy, and this thing is on an insane run. Last week, up over 104%, and in the month, almost 150%, which is insane. This thing feels like it's Shell Hyliion. Before Hyliion merged, Shell was just running like crazy. So I feel like this has that meme potential where it's just going to keep running. It feels like it really should pull back, and it needs to. But I don't know. I just think there's a lot of hype behind it now, and it's turning into one of those runners that you could make money off of, but be very careful, because this is one of those ones that you don't want to get stuck bag holding. For those of us that learned that lesson with Hyliion, if you have call options that are way up, I suggest taking some profits. You can leave some runners, but always lock in some profits. Don't just let this thing run forever. If you say you have 3 call options, you could always trim. It's called scaling out. Just take 1 or 2 off the table, lock in those profits, and let the last one run. You don't need to let all of those play out until this merger happens, thinking it's going to go higher. I personally just wouldn't get greedy on this because it can really change anytime. I think it is a great company. I think that deal with Apple really brought a lot of attention and eyes onto it. But buying at this price, I'm not adding shares at this price. No way. I think it's way, way hyped up. I don't think this is sustainable. And I think we see this with a lot of Spax, so it's something to be careful of. As far as news for Chargepoint, this was something that I guess could justify the price run up a little bit. It's a tweet from Citron, just basically saying, for the Blink investors who are naive, for the same market cap of Blink, you can buy Chargepoint, considering that they spent $70 million on RD and Blink spent $0. However, both Blink and Chargepoint had amazing runs today, and I think people are just bullish on EV and getting a different exposure to EV through the charging stations. So that's pretty much the news that I found, along with another article, but pretty much told us the same thing we already know. Basically talking about Switchback Energy has a deal with ChargePoint. They're an EV company founded in 2007. They're set to merge in Q4 of 2020, which actually it is December 15th, 2020 is when they're merging. So yeah, nothing new on this article. I think they just wanted to write an article about a stock that was hot. All right, we got to talk about NIO, and I mean, it's pretty much at all-time highs right now, about to touch $57 after hours. Today, up about 15%, on the week, up about 20%, and on the month, up over 100%. So at these prices, I would suggest that you have a long-term outlook on NIO if you're going to be buying at $57, because if you don't and NIO pulls back, you're going to panic sell and you're going to be bag holding. So just make sure that you know what you're investing in and you do have that long-term outlook. I think long-term NIO is a great buy. I think it'll be a huge competitor. I see NIO over $100 in a year or two, and it's just a really hot stock right now. But you have to keep in mind these hot stocks will have pullbacks, and that is when I will personally buy NIO. It has been holding above $45 very well. Let's see, this last week, it's trading in the 40 to 50 range. It's doing pretty well, and anything under $40 is a serious buy. I would really love a red day from NIO so I could add a far out call option to play NIO day in January. I would love that, to play the run up on that and sell the news. I think that would yield some nice gains. So that's where I'm at with NIO. So on to the news that I could find for NIO. This is posted today at 6:05 a.m. Basically just saying the future for NIO looks bright, and I honestly think so too. I mean, the stock is holding up very nicely. At first, I was pretty speculative on it, and I thought there was a huge sell-off going to come. I thought it was going to be a pump and dump. But, NIO's really proven itself, and a lot of people are bullish on it, and seeing all these analysts upgrade the price is very positive as well. So Chinese electric vehicle maker NIO surprised the market with Q3 earnings report, stronger than expected, 667 million in sales, and a smaller than expected loss of 154 million. But Edison Yu still didn't, like the numbers, and he said it was lower than expected gross margin. He did rate this a buy, and he did raise his price target nearly 50% to $50. So that's why we see NIO up so much. It's doing well. I did highlight this down here. Production capacity is ramping faster than expected as well, with NIO reaching perhaps 7,500 cars produced per month by January. As the company continues to scale in size, Yu is looking to see NIO produce and deliver as many as 92,500 cars in 2021, while improving its gross margin even past what it expects to see in Q4 to greater than 20%. Despite this, the analysts expect NIO to lose money next year, 120 per share's worth, and just as it will lose money this year. I don't really care about that. I think we saw it with Tesla. It's going to take a few years to, make money and be positive, and that's just how growth companies work. So I think people that care about that are going to miss out on the long-term growth for this company. And I'll be buying up anytime this sells off. So another positive article and catalyst for NIO's run today, and XPeng's run as well, is the CNBC article saying the Chinese EV rivals line up to challenge Tesla on their home turf. So it's talking about NIO recently beating the forecast earnings, and recent IPO XPeng also came in ahead of Wall Street's analyst estimates, talking about how Tesla is poised to succeed in China, where as much as 40% of its sales soon may be. And China's market may grow faster than the US as well. Stock market remains divided on whether rapidly rising valuations of these EV companies are far ahead of the business reality, even for a market as big as China's. I do think that's very accurate. And I honestly think if you're patient, you're going to get some more attractive prices than these super hyped up prices. But not a lot of people like to be patient and sit back. And, it's always okay to buy in waves. If you did want to buy at these super high prices, leave some extra room to add more later and dollar cost average down. That's always a way to go about it. But I do think these are pretty hyped up. And as far as XPeng, I haven't really looked into that one yet. So let me know in the comments below if you're holding that one or if you played that one on the run up. So quickly touching on Spax, I am very happy that they're doing so well again. They did have a couple of rough weeks there, so it's fun to see them all hyping up. But just as fast as they can hype up, they can also die, and I'm very, very careful of that now and cautious of it. I did miss the boat on Ciic, and I even made a video on it when it was around $16, and I also felt like I had missed the boat already. So it just goes to show that these SPACs just have a mind of their own. They do what they want. I definitely missed out on that, so congrats if you got in on that one. But I will say this. I have seen a lot of SPACs. Just thinking back this last year, we saw IPOB, FMCI, DPHC, and VLDR. So that is Open Door, Tattooed Chef, Lordstown Motors, and Velodyne, all touch above $25. And then a couple weeks later, fall under 20. They all fell under 20 again, and some of them are still under 20. So I do think this will be the case with Ciic. It doesn't mean you can't play the run up and make more money, but I do see them falling below 20 again. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion going off, my knowledge and history of SPACs. All right, so to wrap up the video, we're going to mention one more SPAC, and I made a video on them yesterday, ticker symbol LGVW. This is Butterfly. So go check out that video if you want to learn more about them, but I did want to mention ARK Invest bought some LGVW in their ARKG fund. They picked up 459,572 shares, and I think that's awesome. I did pick up some shares today, and I'm pretty bullish on them. I think it'll be a very disruptive company, and I think the SPAC will do well. And now I'm excited to see their price action tomorrow when people catch wind that ARK bought, because usually that has a nice effect to it. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble. This was not a very structured video, just me talking about these different companies and my opinion on them. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's have a discussion. Let me know what you think about all these different companies and if you're currently buying or if you're waiting on the sidelines. Please like and subscribe and have a good one.
Getting money, I just went up in my style. Up in traffic, never lacking in a draw.